The final chapter on JFK, Chapter 14, Segment 3, GSR.
Welcome back. This segment is GSR, which stands for gunshot residue. GSR results from a cartridge being hit, discharging the primer igniting the gunpowder within the casing itself, getting it at a hot temperature, forcing the bullet to release and go down the barrel, and around the weapon itself, tiny microscopic metal particles vaporize and go in all different directions, and in every little space and crawl space that is not airtight, these particles disperse out. That's gunshot residue. Paraffin casts were taken of Lee Harvey Oswald's hand and on the right side of his face in the later part of the evening of November 22nd, 1963. And those casts were sent to Parkland Memorial Hospital for nitrate tests. The way paraffin casts work is that the body part or material that wants to be tested is covered with a warm wax, which molds around what the police want to pull off. And after it is cooled, it is removed from the body part or item the police want to test for gunshot residue. And the inside of the cast is then tested with a reagent, and if it shows a certain color, it proves the existence of nitrate residues from gunpowder. GSR tests using paraffin as the agent to search for the GSR. While it is not a specific test, it may be activated and show positive nature for tobacco, certain types of plants, fertilizer, and it may be that the person was near an area where a rifle or gun was fired and not actually firing the weapon itself. Here are the results of Oswald's GSR tests by the Dallas Police Department. Positive for the right hand, of which he may have held a pistol to shoot Officer J.D. Tippit, and negative to the face or cheek, which, with Oswald being right-handed, he would have had his face and cheek right up next to the action of the rifle itself. Now, in this killing, the initial paraffin testing was not the end of the matter, but rather just the beginning. And the casts were sent to the Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee. And the casts were subject to a brand new test that came out called the Neutron activation analysis, which was capable of detecting infinitesimal traces of unshot gunshot residue on hands and face. For such tests, gunpowder traces as tiny as 10 billionths of a gram could be detected, identified, and measured. Yet, when the tests were run at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory on the paraffin casts of Oswald's hands and cheek, they actually found more of the residue, which was barium and antimony, on the outside of the cast than on the inside, which would have been of Oswald's face when he had fired a weapon. What that signified is that just in the world at large, there was more gunshot residue particles found outside of the cast than inside, which of course, for most people, would mean that Lee Harvey Oswald had not fired a weapon near his face, and as such, had not fired a rifle at John F. Kennedy or John Conley on November 22nd, 1963. In this case, if 3 shots from a rifle occurred in a closed space, it would seem that GSR would show up on somebody's face like Lee Harvey Oswald. While the Warren Commission and a few others may argue that the gunshot residue tests in this case aren't important, but rather than argue with them, let's reason with them. Gunshot residue, in this case, again shows that Lee Harvey Oswald may have fired a pistol with his right hand or was near someone that had done it, because it showed up, and did not fire a rifle, at least with his right arm and on his right side, because nothing showed up. And in fact, further testing done by the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, checking down to 1/1000th of a particle, showed that Lee Harvey Oswald had not fired a rifle. Let's see what the National Institute of Forensic Science says about GSR testing. They say that it is an important and useful tool, but not an end-all or be-all, but rather you should look at the totality of the facts of the case, and this should only be used as a tool with the rest of the facts. It seems that just like J. Edgar Hoover reported to LBJ, they do not have a strong enough case to convict him. See you in the next segment.